Tom Homan is upset because there are some cities not abiding by federal law. And
here's what I don't understand. When Tom Homan, who's the new border czar, is rolling into Boston and Chicago and some of these cities that don't recognize his authority, what happens? Like,
here's the law, Bubba.
Procedurally,
here's the law, Bubba. It's already been sorted out through the courts. Federal law trumps state law. But
no pun intended.
It does, but it supersedes state law. However, the federal government cannot force state employees to enact federal law. So this came up when they were doing background checks, and the federal government was trying to force local sheriffs to do the background checks and not paying them. And they're like, we're not doing it. They're like, okay, well, we're forcing you. Supreme Court said you can't force state employees to carry out federal law. So
really?
that's why DeSantis added it to the law here that the federal
Donald Trump, who is the president and the commander-in-chief of our country,
yes,
roll into a Philadelphia police precinct and tell the guy working the desk, I want you to do background checks on these four illegals. And he could say, nope, my immediate supervisor has instructed me not to.
He's not interfering. You just can't use state employees to enact federal
That's what I'm saying.
law without they can't impede it. They can't get in the way, but they don't have to lift a pinky.
But
they don't have to lift a pinky.
Could Trump then say, okay, so move over and show me how to run this machine. I'll do it myself.
Arguably, yes.
He could?
Arguably, especially with a warrant.
Boston is one of them. Look at this guy who the cops went after. ICE arrested him. And he's smiling. He's a gang member from Brazil, known, wanted, and not taking it seriously. I think he will once he's in Guantanamo Bay.
So he was convicted of assault and battery against a Massachusetts resident back in September, sentenced to 1 year in prison, but then released after 3 months because the city is ignoring the ICE immigration detainer.
Insane.
And police commissioner is not cooperating.
Man, it's like the past administration gave more rights to people from not our country than those from our country. Meaning, like, you could be lesser charged and do a really bad thing back then than a person who's just a bona fide American. They're going to make that bona fide American stand trial and do his time. Mm-hmm. They're going to let that stinky immigrant, it sounds like, go.
I think the average amount of money spent per illegal immigrant is way higher than the average money spent per citizen in this country over the last couple of years. And that's what offends most people.
Battery against a Massachusetts resident back in September, sentenced to 1 year in prison, but then released.
Fish on the J25 with a PayPal, Lummy.
Thank you.
PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, The Bubba Army, or BubbaArmyTips.com.
After 3 months, because the city is ignoring the ICE immigration detainer.
Insane.
And police commissioner is not cooperating with ICE.
Right. So here is President Trump touting the crackdown on immigration. Even though he wants more criminals picked up, he's happy with the border, with the sealing of the border and the crackdown across the country.
The fraudsters, liars, cheaters, globalists, and deep state bureaucrats are being sent packing. The illegal alien criminals are being sent home. We're draining the swamp and we're restoring government by the people, for the people. We're liberating communities like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, that have been occupied by illegal alien criminals from all over the world. We're rescuing the Americans whose jobs have been stolen, whose wages have been robbed, and whose way of life has been absolutely destroyed. I have to clean up the mess. I'm cleaning up the mess, and it is a mess on the border with inflation. To go over every single thing he touched turned to okay? Everything.
Is that the first time he's cussed?
No.
He cusses a lot.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Colorful, but it's true. And if you look at all these major cities now, you got all of these people that are essentially aiding the cartel and their criminal enterprise, because you got these gang members and these criminal aliens that are in these apartments or in these homes, and ICE is showing up with all the rest of the feds, and they're essentially on bullhorns letting them know that they're there. Now, if a drug dealer did this on the South Side and was a call-out boy for another drug dealer, they would be jammed up and charged with accessory, helping and aiding with them. But these guys aren't being jammed up. So Tom Homan is saying, look, I'm contacting Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice to see where the line is, and we're going to start jamming up some of these activists. They're saying it's free speech, but you're giving your free speech is aiding criminals.
But this is kind of like, Bubba, this is, you know the analogy of this is? There's a speed trap, and people are flashing lights on oncoming traffic to warn them of the speed trap. And if a cop sees you doing that, he's going to come after you.
I think that got overturned.
As a free speech?
I think in Florida that got overturned. That if you flash your lights to oncoming traffic to let them know of a speed trap up the road, I could be wrong. This was years ago.
Yeah, it was controversial. I remember, and I know a policeman will still stop you for that. You may not have any jurisdiction, and may not have any authority, and may get thrown out. He's still going to be pissed, and he's going to harass you for it.
So this guy's saying that these illegal immigrants that stay within these closely knit, communities in these urban cities, that when the ICE unit comes in, they're getting on bullhorns. They got these call-out boys that get on bullhorns and tell the bad guys that the feds are in town.
It looks like it's legal in Florida.
Legal.
The flasher lights.
It's legal or illegal?
Legal.
See, I was right, wasn't I?
That's what Jay said, yep.
People that are essentially aiding the cartel and their criminal enterprise, because you got these gang members and these criminal aliens that are in these apartments or in these homes, and ICE is showing up with all the rest of the feds, and they're essentially on bullhorns letting them know that they're there. Now, if a drug dealer did this on the South Side and was a call-out boy for another drug dealer, they would be jammed up and charged with
why couldn't you jam up the call-out boys?
You can, and Jay even said, flashing your high beams is much different than interfering with an ongoing criminal arrest of illegal aliens. It's much more involved, and so there is a line, and maybe they need some clarification of the line.
Because Homan's just coming in and cleaning house.
Yeah.
Call-out boys are not.
accessory, helping and aiding with them. But these guys aren't being jammed up. So Tom Homan is saying, look, I'm contacting Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice to see where the line is, and we're going to start jamming up some of these activists. They're saying it's free speech, but you're giving your free speech is aiding criminals.
When you're speeding,
yeah.
if someone's coming the other way, they flash their headlights at you to slow down.
This now.
That could get you fined or pulled over. So this is something much more serious. So Tom Homan was fired up, and he talked about some of the struggles he's having with these blue-run cities where a lot of illegals call home, especially Boston. Listen.
Now, it's just not going to, just is my opinion, but if you're a bad guy and you're an illegal immigrant and you're doing bad guy stuff, wouldn't you want to gravitate to one of these sanctuary cities?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I live in Denver or San Francisco.
Be like, hey, listen, man, if I live in Tampa, I'm going to get my ass hemmed up.
Yeah, there's a lot of them going to.
But if I go move to Chicago, and I can run my criminal operation out of Chicago because I'm protected. Like, it's almost like the city is protecting scumbags.
Well, I mean, if they're in Boston, let's say today, and they're picking up people around the area for the next 2 weeks, then they're out of the next city. And maybe you just start living in all the cities that they've already visited until it's time for them to come back around.
If you and I are in Chicago, and I'm like, say, Seth, guess what?
Yeah.
They're coming to Chicago. But they were just in Boston last week. So how about you and I, go halvesies on a plane ticket?
Let's do it.
Or just get in your Ford Hemi.
Jump on the Greyhound.
Now, I'm not saying I'm smarter than Tom Homan. I mean, he would definitely find me at some point, but I don't think I would be staying in the same place where maybe I committed crimes in the past.
Where the line is, and we're going to start jamming up some of these activists. They're saying it's free speech, but you're giving your free speech is aiding criminals.
When you're speeding, if someone's coming the other way, they flash their headlights at you to slow down. That could get you fined or pulled over. So this is something much more serious. So Tom Homan was fired up, and he talked about some of the struggles he's having with these blue-run cities where a lot of illegals call home, especially Boston. Listen.
I'm coming to Boston. I'm bringing hell with me. 9 child rapists that were in jail in Massachusetts, but rather than honoring an ICE detainer, released them back into the street. You're not a police commissioner. Take that badge off your chest, put it in the desk drawer, because you became a politician. You forgot what it's like to be a cop.
I mean, true.
Yeah, I love him.
When you're letting 9 child rapists back into the community to potentially, I mean, listen, child rapists don't stop at one rape. Let's just be honest.
Nope, they do not.
In fact, I think statistically over the years, I've had people say that the average person that touches kids touches up to 32 kids before they're caught.
I thought it was like 15 or 18, but yeah, it's a huge number.
It's a huge number.
It's a huge number. It's disgusting.
So you've got 9 of these people that have been identified as child rapers, and you, as the highest ranking lawman in this particular jurisdiction, let them back onto the streets. You're right. Take that badge off and because you're not a sworn police officer upholding the laws of Massachusetts. You are a politician. He's right.
I mean, can he explain that?
But sheriff, here's a problem. Sheriffs do run for office, and so they are politicians.
Yeah. Well, usually when you're running in a blue state by blue governor and a blue mayor, your sheriff and or police commissioner is either appointed by the mayor or is probably blue because everybody else is blue.
They have to be,
right?
You call it nonpartisan, but they're still the same.
You never see a Republican sheriff with a Democratic mayor, a Democratic governor, a Democratic council. It's usually across the board.
But you do have a Republican siding sheriff in Tampa, in Hillsborough County, with a Democratic siding mayor in Jane Castor. So,
and guess what?
They are opposites, and they fight.
Guess what?
What?
Castor loses.
She's won too.
Not really. She knows better to mess with Chad.
Yeah, Chad's super popular, and it's a big problem in Florida when you have these, incorporated counties that are stronger than the cities within the county, and there's tension between the sheriff and the mayor. It happens all the time in Florida.
To ICE, that makes absolutely no sense.
But we're in the process. The judge comes in New York City. I don't know what they're doing in Boston, and always makes these serious crimes misdemeanors, and then lets them out with almost no bail, the no cash bail law. Right. And then the cops got to go pick them.
So you got another layer of effery when it comes to the judicial system. Maybe you got a Grady Judd that's ready to go ahead and take that scumbag nine men that have raped children and make him have to pay for it and want to hand him over to Tom Homan. But I guess the guy gets his day in court, and the judge could potentially do anything with the sentence, including commute it, right? I mean, there's a lot of
discretion.
There's a lot of different hoops that these people have to jump through in order to get these scumbags off of our streets. It's just not as simple as going and rounding them up.